Here's the headline that had Browns fans spiraling. Cleveland.com's Mary Kay Cabot all but stamped official on Shedeur Sanders as the Browns' starting quarterback. Sounds exciting, right? A fresh face, a new chapter, maybe even a Cinderella story. But if you've been following the way Cabot has been covering this kid, you'd know this is not your typical hype piece. No, this was the culmination of weeks, months, of subtle digs, eyebrow raises, and not-so-veiled skepticism wrapped up in objective sports journalism. Because make no mistake, this wasn't just a story about a rookie quarterback maybe earning a shot. This was a story about how sports media frames players.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Sometimes to build them up, but often to tear them down before they even have a chance to fail. And Shedeur Sanders? He's the perfect target. Too confident, too famous by association, too easy to cast as the cocky kid who hasn't earned it yet. Think back to when Shedeur first came up in conversations about the Browns' quarterback depth. Cabot wasn't writing glowing profiles about his accuracy or composure. She wasn't gushing about his college tape, where he put up ridiculous numbers while operating in a system designed by none other than his Hall of Fame father. No, her first angle was all about his lack of NFL snaps. The implication was clear: how could this kid possibly be ready? And sure, that's technically fair. Rookie quarterbacks almost always need time. But the way she phrased it, you couldn't help but feel the skepticism dripping off the page. It wasn't, "he has room to grow." It was, "he's not there yet, and let's not get ahead of ourselves." That's the kind of subtle framing that shapes how fans perceive a player before they've even touched the field. Fast forward, though, and suddenly Cabot's tune shifts. Now she's praising his accuracy, talking about how he can attack the middle of the field, mentioning his ability to throw with touch on backside digs. Those intermediate throws that separate good college quarterbacks from real-deal NFL ones. Which, let's be real, sounds like a scouting report from someone who finally watched him closely and realized, oh wait, this kid can actually sling it. But here's where it gets juicy. Because why the sudden shift? Why go from subtle undermining to cautiously optimistic praise? It could be as simple as Sanders putting together a strong practice or showing some flashes in preseason. But when you've been around long enough, you know how this game is played. Negative takes get clicks. Questioning whether Shedeur Sanders is ready gets engagement. And once the "he's not ready" narrative has milked the internet for all it's worth, you pivot to maybe he is the guy because, hey, guess what? That gets clicks too. And let's not ignore the bigger context here. The Browns' quarterback room has been an absolute revolving door. Injuries, inconsistencies, the constant reshuffling, Cleveland fans are practically conditioned to treat any quarterback news as life or death. So when Cabot dangles a line about Sanders maybe stepping into the starting role, it doesn't just feel like reporting. It feels like bait thrown into a pool of starving fish. Now, let's talk about Sanders himself, because this is where the whole thing gets fascinating. He's not just a run-of-the-mill rookie. He's the son of one of the most polarizing, magnetic figures in football history. He's been groomed for this spotlight, he knows the cameras will always find him, and he leans into it. That confidence people are quick to label as arrogance? It's really just the natural result of growing up as Deion Sanders' kid. When your dad is prime time, humility isn't exactly the family brand. And yet, when you strip away the name and the baggage, what you're left with is a young quarterback who actually checks a lot of the boxes. Accuracy? Check. Touch? Check. Pocket composure? Better than most rookies. Sure, he still has to grow in the pre-snap department. Reading defenses, recognizing blitzes, adjusting protections. Those are the advanced level QB skills that come with time. No rookie walks into the NFL with those mastered. Not even the greats. Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his rookie year, and people were calling him a bust before he turned into one of the best to ever do it. So why is Sanders being held to a higher standard? Why is Cabot, and sports media in general, so quick to frame his weaknesses as fatal flaws instead of growing pains? That's the bias talking. The click-driven machine. Because if you frame him as another unready rookie, the story writes itself. And if he does well, then you get to flip the script later and act surprised. It's a win-win for the media, but a lose-lose for the player trying to shake off the noise. Here's the thing though, Shedeur doesn't seem bothered. If anything, he thrives on this exact kind of tension. He's got that quarterback DNA where criticism doesn't sink him, it fuels him. He wants the ball in his hands. He wants to prove people wrong. You can see it in the way he talks, the way he carries himself on the field. And that's why, whether you think he's ready or not, the idea of him starting is so electrifying. Because he's not going to tiptoe into the role. he's going to grab it with both hands and say, "Watch me." And look, Browns fans know better than anyone that quarterback development is messy. You don't always get the polished product right out of the gate. Sometimes you've got to suffer through the growing pains to find the reward on the other side. The team dynamics, the coaching decisions, the injuries, the desperate need for stability, all of it plays a role. But if Sanders is truly the guy, he'll show it over time. That's what makes Cabot's shifting commentary so fascinating. She's a veteran reporter. She knows how to work the angles, how to stir the pot, how to position herself so that no matter what happens, she was right. If Sanders struggles, she can point back to her earlier skepticism. If he succeeds, she can highlight the praise she eventually gave him. That's how sports media survives. Always hedging bets, always playing both sides of the narrative. But here's where I think fans need to push back a little. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just another clickbait character in someone else's story. He's a young quarterback trying to carve out his own. And the truth is, he has the tools. The accuracy, the touch, the confidence, it's all there. What he needs is opportunity, reps, and a little grace to grow. So when Mary Kay Cabot finally admits, "Hey, this kid might actually be good at throwing to the middle of the field," forgive me if I don't throw a parade in her honor. That's not groundbreaking analysis. That's just stating the obvious after months of acting like he was one bad read away from being a bust. And maybe that's the moral of this whole drama. Media narratives will rise and fall. They'll build you up one week and tear you down the next. But the truth, the real truth, always plays out on the field. And if Shedeur Sanders takes that first NFL snap as the Browns' starting quarterback, the noise won't matter anymore. What'll matter is whether he delivers. And based on everything we've seen, I wouldn't bet against him. So what do we do with all this? We laugh at the headlines. We roll our eyes at the clickbait. And we remind ourselves that the NFL is as much theater as it is sport. Because one way or another, Shedeur Sanders' story is going to be entertaining. Whether he lights it up or crashes spectacularly, it's must-watch television. But for now, the kid deserves a fair shot. And maybe, just maybe, the narrative should stop trying to write him off before he's even begun. So here's your fake award of the day. Mary Kay Cabot gets the gold medal in narrative gymnastics for her flawless double flip from doubt to praise. Judges score it a 10 for clicks, but only a 4 for consistency. And as for Shedeur Sanders, he gets the Uno Reverse Card of Confidence award, because every time the media doubts him, he seems more determined to prove them wrong. But what do you think? Is Shedeur Sanders ready to take the reins in Cleveland, or is this just another chapter in the endless Browns quarterback saga? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and while you're at it, make sure you subscribe for more breakdowns of the chaos, the drama, and the meltdowns that keep the sports world spinning. Because in the NFL, the headlines might fade, but the spectacle never does. And the thing about perception is that it's sticky. Once the media paints you as unready or overhyped, that reputation follows you like gum stuck to your shoe. Think about guys like Tim Tebow. Remember that circus? He had one miraculous playoff game, and yet his career was drowned by the narrative of him being a gimmick, a one-read quarterback who could never hack it long-term. Did Tebow have flaws? Absolutely. But did the media amplify those flaws until they were bigger than the player himself? No question. That's the danger Shedeur Sanders faces right now. He's got a legitimate skill set, but the narrative is threatening to trap him before he's had a chance to write his own chapter. Cabot knows that. She's been covering the Browns long enough to see how narratives can stick. And yet, instead of balancing the scales, she leans into the easiest angle. Is he ready or is he not? That binary storyline sells papers and generates clicks, but it doesn't do justice to what's really going on here. Because let's be honest, quarterback development isn't binary. It's messy, it's nonlinear, and it almost always requires patience. Look at Josh Allen. His first 2 years in Buffalo were a roller coaster of overthrows, missed reads, and people calling him a bust. Now, he's one of the most dangerous players in the league. Look at Jalen Hurts, drafted in the second round, doubted as nothing more than a stopgap, and now he's the face of the Eagles franchise. These guys weren't ready on day one. They grew into it. So why is Shedeur supposed to walk in and prove himself instantly? Why is he being measured by a standard that even elite quarterbacks couldn't live up to as rookies? The answer is simple: drama sells. A rookie being fine, but developing at a normal pace doesn't move headlines. A rookie being ready to start, or a total bust does. And Cabot, whether intentionally or not, feeds that beast. But let's zoom out from the media lens for a second and talk about the real football side of this. Because say what you will about Shedeur, he's got tools that make him intriguing for the Browns, or for any team. First, the accuracy. It's not just good for a rookie. It's legitimately sharp. He can hit tight windows, he can layer the ball over linebackers and in front of safeties, and he's got the touch to throw receivers open. That's rare for a young quarterback because most rookies rely on pure arm strength until they learn timing and anticipation. Then there's his composure. This is the part that doesn't show up on the stat sheet but jumps off the screen when you watch him. The kid doesn't rattle. Pressure comes, the pocket collapses, and instead of bailing out early or panicking, he stands tall. That's not something you can coach. That's something you either have or you don't. And Shedeur? He has it. Of course there are weaknesses too. The pre-snap reads Cabot keeps harping on aren't just nitpicks. They matter. In the NFL, defenses disguise everything. Safeties show blitz, then drop into zone. Linebackers fake zone drops, then shoot the A-gap. If you can't recognize those disguises before the ball is snapped, you're playing blind. That's where rookies get chewed up. And yeah, Shedeur still has a lot to learn there. He sometimes locks onto his first read, sometimes fails to recognize a blitz pickup, sometimes takes that half-second too long to process. Those are rookie mistakes, but they're also correctable mistakes. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Can Shedeur make those corrections fast enough to survive in Cleveland's quarterback pressure cooker? Because this isn't just any team. This is the Browns, a franchise with one of the most tortured quarterback histories in the league. Fans here don't just want competence. They're starving for a savior. And every new quarterback is judged not just against his peers, but against decades of heartbreak. You think media narratives are loud elsewhere? In Cleveland, they're deafening. One bad quarter can turn you into the next name on the long list of Browns quarterbacks who didn't pan out. One good quarter can anoint you as the future of the franchise. It's not fair, but it's the reality. And that's why Cabot's coverage matters so much. Because in Cleveland, the media doesn't just report the story, they shape it. Fans trust her reporting. Coaches and front office staff read her headlines. The narrative she pushes becomes the conversation in sports bars, in locker rooms, on talk radio. And when she frames Sanders as probably not ready, that perception seeps into everything around him. But here's where the story gets fun. Shedeur doesn't care. He's built for this. You can see it in the way he answers questions, the way he posts on social media, the way he carries himself on the field. He's not wide-eyed. He's not overwhelmed. He's steady, almost cocky, but in that quarterback way that makes you trust he believes he's the best guy on the field, even if he's not yet. And honestly, that's half the battle. Confidence is currency in the NFL. You need it to survive the noise. And Sanders has it in spades. He's not afraid of Cabot's skepticism. He's not afraid of the Browns' quarterback carousel. He's not afraid of the pressure. He's ready to step in and take the heat. So what happens next? Well, that depends on two things: opportunity and patience. If injuries keep piling up in the Browns' quarterback room, opportunity might fall into his lap faster than anyone expected. If he starts, it won't be because Cabot wrote a headline, it'll be because the team needs someone, and Shedeur is sitting right there, itching for the chance. The patience part, though, that's where the drama lies. Because Browns fans aren't exactly famous for their patience. If Shedeur starts and struggles, will the city give him time to grow? Or will the boo birds come out by halftime? Will the front office stick with him through the rough patches? Or will they treat him like just another disposable name on the depth chart? That tension, the pull between giving a rookie space to grow and the demand for instant results, is the heart of this whole story. And Cabot's role in it is almost theatrical. She's like the narrator in a Greek tragedy, planting seeds of doubt in the audience's mind before the play even unfolds. Will her prophecy come true, or will Shedeur flip the script? That's what makes this so compelling. And let's not forget the Deion Sanders factor. You think prime time is going to sit quietly while his son gets doubted in the press? Not a chance. If Shedeur gets a real shot in Cleveland, you can bet Deion will be front and center, cheering him on, defending him, and maybe even calling out the media for underestimating him. That adds another layer of spectacle. Because suddenly it's not just about Shedeur, it's about the Sanders brand. And the Sanders brand knows how to command attention. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, okay, but is Shedeur actually good enough to make it long-term? That's the million-dollar debate. Some scouts will tell you yes. His accuracy and touch are elite traits you can build around. Others will say no. His processing speed and pre-snap recognition will cap his ceiling. Both can be true at the same time. The only way to know for sure is to let the kid play. And that's why Cabot's shifting narrative feels so transparent. She doesn't want to commit to either side because committing means risking being wrong. So she plays both angles, praising his accuracy one week, doubting his readiness the next. That way, when the dust settles, she can point back to whichever take looks smartest. It's smart reporting, but it's also why fans should take it with a grain of salt. Because at the end of the day, the real story isn't Mary Kay Cabot. It's not the headlines. It's not even the Browns' quarterback chaos. It's Shedeur Sanders standing on the edge of his NFL journey, staring down a narrative that's already trying to define him before he's had the chance to define himself. And that's why this story matters. Because if Shedeur succeeds, it won't just be about football, it'll be about proving that the narrative machine doesn't always win. It'll be about carving out your own story, no matter how loudly other people try to write it for you. So here's the award for this act of the saga. The most likely to break the internet with his first touchdown award goes to Shedeur Sanders. Because whether you love him, doubt him, or just want to watch the chaos, the moment he throws that first scoring strike in Cleveland, the internet will explode. Memes, clips, hot takes, it'll be everywhere. And Mary Kay Cabot? She'll probably write another column saying, "Well, I always said he had accuracy." But let's be real, you and I will know the truth. We'll know that behind the headlines, behind the skepticism, behind the endless clickbait machine, there's a kid who just loves the game. Who grew up with the pressure of being primetime's son, and still wants the ball in his hands when the lights are brightest. And maybe, just maybe, that's the kind of player Cleveland has been waiting for all along. Picture it, first home game, crowd buzzing, cameras locked in. Shedeur jogs out in that crisp uniform, chest puffed out, helmet tilted just right. He knows every eye is on him and he doesn't flinch. The fans don't know whether to cheer or brace for disappointment, but the stadium is electric in that way only football can be. And in the background? Mary Kay Cabot typing up her lead paragraph, ready to say, "I told you so," no matter what happens. It's pure theater. And let's not kid ourselves. This moment, if it happens, will mean more than just a rookie's debut. It's a referendum. On the Browns' decision-making. On the hype surrounding Deion Sanders' son. On the entire media circus that's been dissecting Shedeur before he's even thrown a meaningful NFL pass. Every completion will be proof for his believers. Every incompletion will be fuel for his doubters. Every snap will be judged like it's life or death, even though it's just football. That's the beauty and the curse of this league, isn't it? The NFL doesn't allow rookies to just be rookies. In the NBA, you can average 10 points a game as a rookie, show flashes, and people will say, "He's developing nicely." In the NFL, if you're a rookie quarterback, you're either the next great franchise savior or the next bust. There's no middle ground. And that's exactly the trap Shedeur's walking into. Now, if you strip away the headlines, you actually find something really compelling. Shedeur has the exact skill set Cleveland's offense has been missing. For years, the Browns have cycled through quarterbacks who were either too erratic, too fragile, or too inconsistent to actually give the team a chance. And here comes this rookie with ice in his veins, accuracy in his arm, and a confidence that borders on unshakable. That's not a bad formula. Think about the importance of accuracy for just a second. It's not sexy, it's not a 70-yard bomb down the sideline, but it's what wins games. Moving the chains on third down. Hitting the 5-yard out on time. Delivering the slant before the linebacker closes the gap. That's what quarterbacks live and die on in the NFL. And Cabot herself, after months of harping on his flaws, finally admitted that Sanders' accuracy is real. That's not just a compliment, it's an acknowledgement that he has the foundational skill that can't be faked. But then comes the counterweight, pre-snap recognition. This is the boogeyman in every rookie quarterback story. If accuracy is the sword, pre-snap is the shield. You can throw darts all day, but if you don't recognize the disguised blitz, you're going to get destroyed before you even release the ball. That's what Cabot keeps leaning on. This idea that Sanders isn't ready to process the NFL's complexity yet. And maybe she's right. Maybe he'll take those rookie lumps. But here's the kicker. Every single quarterback in history has had to learn that skill. Nobody walks in and masters it from day one. Not Tom Brady. Not Aaron Rodgers. Not Patrick Mahomes. So why do we act like Shedeur's supposed to be some exception? Why do we act like his development curve has to be flawless when literally nobody else's has been? That's where the bias shows. That's where you see the clickbait machine at work, because rookie needs time doesn't sell. But rookie might not be ready does. And let's not pretend the Browns situation doesn't make this 100 times messier. This is the franchise where quarterbacks go to disappear. They've been through more starters in the past 2 decades than most teams cycle through in a lifetime. It's like the jersey with all the crossed-out names, an artifact of sports pain. That history hangs heavy over every new quarterback. And Shedeur, whether he likes it or not, would be stepping into that shadow. Here's the part one love though, Shedeur wants that pressure. Most rookies would wilt under it. Most rookies would give you the just taking it one game at a time cliches and try to downplay the spotlight. Not Shedeur. He walks right into it, chin up, ready to embrace it. That's what makes him so fascinating. He's not scared of the Browns' curse. He's not scared of the headlines. He's not even scared of Mary Kay Cabot's skepticism. He's built for the chaos. And let's be honest, the chaos is half the reason people are invested in this story. It's not just about whether Shedeur can throw touchdowns. It's about whether he can flip the script in Cleveland, whether he can be the guy who finally breaks the cycle, whether he can silence the doubters by just winning. That's the real entertainment. Now here's a little prediction for you. If Shedeur does get his shot, the very first game will tell us nothing and everything. Nothing because rookies always struggle. Everything because the way he handles the struggle will reveal exactly who he is. Does he sulk after a pick? Or does he bounce back and keep firing? Does he shrink under pressure? Or does he look his teammates in the eye and say, "We've got this"? Those intangibles are what separate just another name from maybe the future. And you better believe Cabot will have her piece ready either way. If he shines, it'll be, "I told you about his accuracy." If he stumbles, it'll be, "I warned you about his pre-snap reads." It's a win-win for her, but for Shedeur? It's do or die in the court of public opinion. But maybe that's the irony of this entire saga. For all the noise, for all the takes, for all the clickbait headlines, the truth will come down to something really simple. Shedeur Sanders on a football field with a ball in his hands making plays or not. That's it. No headline can spin a touchdown pass. No tweet can erase a third down conversion. No hot take can rewrite a win. And maybe that's the part we should all be rooting for, that football, in its purest form, still has the power to cut through the noise. That no matter what Cabot writes or what the internet says, Shedeur has the chance to seize control of his own narrative the old-fashioned way, by playing the game. So let's give him the award of the night, the walking into the fire with a smile award. Because that's exactly what this moment is. He's stepping into a quarterback room cursed with instability, a fan base starved for hope, and a media narrative already stacked against him. And he's not just surviving it, he's embracing it. Now, whether you think he's ready or not, you can't deny this. Shedeur Sanders has turned Cleveland into must-watch football. And if he does start, every snap will feel like an event. Every play will feel like a referendum. Every headline will feel like the next chapter in a story we've all been sucked into. So here's my question for you. When Shedeur finally gets his moment, are you going to be one of the skeptics waiting for him to stumble? Or are you going to be one of the believers, hoping he rewrites history in a city that desperately needs it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and stick around, because this isn't just a football story. It's a saga. And the best part? We're only in the first act. Because in Cleveland, quarterbacks don't just play football, they live inside a soap opera. And Shedeur Sanders? He might just be the most compelling character yet,